Hey everyone, Cody from Mac Telecom Networks. In this video, we're going to go through another small business setup. If you guys have seen my other Unifi small business setup as well as PFSense, this will be following the same type of format. But in this video, we're going to be using OPNsense. I had a couple people ask me to make this video, so that's what we're going to do. If you guys are new here, please hit the subscribe button. Make sure to hit the bell icon. If you'd like to hire me for network consulting, visit www.mactelecomnetworks.com. You'd find us on Instagram at Mac Telecom Networks, and if you'd like to support the channel, we do have an Amazon storefront, and I'll put it in the description below. This is the setup we're going to be working with. At the top, we have our ISP connection, and that's going to be going into a Protectly Vault 6 port. And the Protectly is what's going to be running our OPNsense. From the LAN port of the Protectly, we're going to be connecting to a USW Flex Mini, and from the Flex Mini, we're going to put on a Unifi AP AC Lite. This is just a lab network. If you were deploying this in a small business, you would probably have something like a 24-port switch and a few other access points. The management network, I don't have it in here. It's just going to be default at 192.168.1.1. And then we're going to create a staff network at 192.168.10.1/24 with a VLAN ID of 10. And then a guest network at 192.168.20.1/24, VLAN ID of 20. And then an IoT network at 192.168.30.1/24 with VLAN ID of 30. Also note, you could use any type of switch or access point you want. We're really going to be focusing on the OPNsense. I will show you how to set up the Wi-Fi networks as well in Unifi. By default, OPNsense goes to 192.168.1.1. I have my computer directly plugged into the LAN port of the Protectly. We'll open up a new tab and type in 192.168.1.1 and press enter. And this is going to bring us to our Protectly. Your connection is not private. We'll just go advanced and then proceed. The default username is root and the password is OPNsense. And now you can see it's starting the initial config, which is going to bring us to a wizard, and I'll press next. We could give it a host name. I will call it Mac Telecom OPNsense, local domain English, and then you could set your primary and secondary DNS. I'll use 1.1.1.1 and 8.8.8.8, and we'll press next. This is for our NTP server. I'll leave it as is and press next. Now it's specifying what your WAN connection type is, and there's a few different type of connections. We could have DHCP, static PPPoE, and PPPTP. I have a static IP, so I'll go ahead and click that. And then we're going to need to fill in this information. I'll have to put in my static IP address, the CIDR notation for my subnet, as well as the upstream gateway. And then we'll scroll down to the bottom and we will press next. This is where we could configure the LAN IP subnet. I'm going to leave it at the 192.168.1.1 with the /24, but you could change it to whatever you want, and I'll press next. Here we need to create a new root password, and I will just create a test password for now, and then we'll press next. Then we need to reload to apply the changes. Now our basic config has been saved. We could see that we're on our OPNsense dashboard. At the top here, it's going to show you some system information. It will show you the services that are running, and we could add some other widgets if we want. You could add CARP, CPU usage, dynamic DNS, gateways, and a bunch of other things. We could also add a picture if we wanted to have a picture of maybe our network rack where this OPNsense box is sitting. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to check for updates to make sure that this is at the latest firmware update. We'll click here. Here we can see which version we're running. We're at 1.95p1, and the new version that's out is 1.95p2, and we'll update now. Now we can see there are no updates available on selected mirror, so that's great. Next, I'm going to create a new user, and then we're going to disable the root user. So how you do that, we go over to Systems and then go to Access. And then we want to click on the User tab. Here you can see we only have root selected, and it's a system administrator, and it's a part of the admin group. Just for security purposes, we're going to create a new user, and then we're going to disable the root. So we're going to go to the top and press Add. We're going to give it a username of Mac Telecom, and then we're going to specify a password. Here you could fill in all of this information. I'll just call it Cody. I won't put my email or any other information for this video. And then group memberships, we want to click on the admins and then select it over. So now we're a member of the admin group. And then we can press save and go back. Now the Mac Telecom user is created, we need to log out as root. So we'll go up to lobby and then we'll select log out. Now we want to log in with the Mac Telecom user and password. And then we want to disable our root account. So we'll go back to system, access, and then users. And then we'll select the edit pencil icon and then disable this account and press save and go back. The next thing we need to do, we need to create a few VLANs. So we need to create our staff VLAN, our guest VLAN, and our IoT VLAN. So if we go over to interfaces and then select other types, we will see VLAN under the other types. Then to create the VLAN, we need to hit the add button. And then we need to select the parent interface. And the parent interface for us will be the LAN port on the Protectly, which will be a trunk port going to our USW Flex. I'll select EM1, which is our LAN port, and then we're going to give it a VLAN tag of 10. Here you could set your VLAN priority. We're just going to leave it at the default as best effort, and then we'll give it a description of staff and press save. And now we can see VLAN 10 has been added. Now we need to add VLAN 20, same interface of EM1, and then give it a VLAN tag of 20, best effort, and then description will be guest, and we'll press save. And the last VLAN we need to create is our VLAN 30 for our IoT network. So we'll press add, and then we'll select EM1 LAN, VLAN tag 30, and then the description will be IoT, and we'll press save. Now our VLANs are created, we need to create the assignments. So I'll go to the left-hand side and we'll select assignments. Now we have to create the VLAN new interfaces. So the first one is VLAN 10 on EM1, which is staff, and we hit the plus button. And it's going to give this an interface assignment of OPT1, and then we'll select that. We're going to enable the interface. We're going to give it a new description of staff. The IPv4 configuration, we're going to have it set to static IPv4. And then we're going to scroll down to the static IPv4 configuration. And here we're going to specify the subnet that we want it to use. So it will be 192.168.10.1, and we're going to have it set to /24. And then we'll press save and then apply changes. Now we have to go back to assignments and do the same for VLAN 20 and 30. So we have a new interface of VLAN 20 and we're going to add that. And right now we could add the VLAN 30 as well. So I'll select opt2 and then we're going to enable the interface. The interface description will be guest. And then our IPv4 configuration type will be static. Our guest IPv4 subnet is going to be 192.168.20.1. And then it will have a /24. And we'll press save and apply changes. Now under interfaces, we could see OP3, which is going to be our IoT network, and we could go ahead and click on that, and we could enable the interface, and the description will be IoT. IPv4 configuration will be static, and then the subnet will be 192.168.30.1/24, and we'll press save and apply. Now that the interface assignments are created, we need to create DHCP servers for each one of these subnets. So we could select the Services tab and then go over to DHCP version 4. And then on the left-hand side, we could see all our different networks. We'll start with our guest network. Here we want to enable a DHCP server, and then we're going to give it a DHCP range. And I'll start at 192.168.20.10, and then we'll end at 192.168.20.200. You could specify DNS servers, or you could just let it go off the global DNS. I'm going to specify them here, 1.1.1.1 and 8.8.8.8. And then we'll select save. Now we have to do the same for the IoT network, and we'll enable the DHCP server, and we're going to select the range from 192.168.30.10 to 192.168.30.200. Specify the DNS as 1.1.1.1 and 8.8.8.8, and then we'll press save. Now the last DHCP server we need to get enabled is our staff. We're going to enable the staff DHCP server and specify the range of 192.168.10.10 to 192.168.10.200. The DNS at 1.1.1.1 and 8.8.8.8, and we'll press save. Now our subnets are created. We've created the VLANs. We've done the interface assignments, and we've done the DHCP servers. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to unplug my computer from the Protectly and then plug it in directly to the USW Flex switch. And then we'll bring up our Unifi controllers so that we could create the VLANs and wireless network. Okay, I'm just using a local Unifi controller, and I'm going to launch a browser to manage this network. And we could see both the USW Flex Mini and my USAC Lite are adopting. So what we need to do, we need to create a couple VLAN only networks and a couple Wi-Fi networks. So I'll click on the settings wheel. We'll go to networks, and then we'll create a new network. Here we're going to select VLAN only, and I'll call it staff. And then we're going to give it the VLAN tag of 10 and then press save. Next, we need to do our guest VLAN. So we'll give it a name of guest, the VLAN only, and then it will be VLAN 20. And the last VLAN only network we need to create is our IoT network of VLAN tag 30 and press save. Now our VLAN only networks have been created. Let's go ahead and create some wireless networks. So we'll create a new wireless network and we'll call it staff. The security type is going to be WPA personal, and I'm going to give it a password of test1234. Here we need to select our network, and this is just the VLAN, so we could select the staff network and press save. Next, we need to create our wireless guest network, so we'll call it guests, with a password of WPA personal of test1234, and then we'll select the guest network and press save. And the last wireless network we're going to create is our IoT network with the WPA personal of test1234. The network will be IoT, and we'll press save. If we wanted a specific switch port on a certain VLAN, we would have to tag that switch port with the VLAN. So I'll show you guys how to do it in Unifi. It will be different for any other vendors that you use. So I'll go ahead and click on the USW Flex Mini. Here we could see that their second port is green. This is my PC right now. If I do an IP config, we could see that my Ethernet adapter is getting an address out of 192.168.1.100. So I'm going to go ahead and put this port into VLAN 20, which is our guest network. I'll click on the pencil icon, and then switch port profile, we're going to switch to guest, and I'll press apply. Now the switch is provisioned, and we can see these are disconnected. That's because these have a different subnet than what I'm on right now. I'm on the guest network. And if we do IP config, we could go back up to our Ethernet adapter, and we could see that we're on the 192.168.20 network, which is our guest network. If we try to ping out to the internet right now, we won't be getting access. So I'll go ping google.ca, and our request will time out. And that's because by default, you need to set allow rules in the firewall in OPNsense to give you network access. I could try pinging 1.1.1.1, and you could see that it will time out as well. Now we're back on our LAN network. We need to create the firewall rules for our other subnets to be able to give them network access and then also block inter VLAN routing. So I'm going to go to firewall, and then we're going to select rules. And here we're going to select which subnet we want to work on. So first we'll select guest. And as you can see, there are no rules. And it says right here, no guest rules are currently defined. All incoming connections on this interface will be blocked until you add a pass rule. Exceptions for automatically generated rules may apply. And then it tells you all the different symbols and what they mean if they pass, block, rejected, or disabled. To create a pass rule, we're going to click add. And the action is going to be pass. The interface is going to be guest, and the direction will be in. Our IP version will be IPv4, and the protocol is going to be any. The source address, we're going to have this as the guest network, and the destination will just leave to any, and then I'll press save. And then we need to apply the changes. Next, we have to do the same rule on the IoT network. So we'll add a rule. It's going to be pass on the interface of IoT. Direction will be in, the IP version IPv4, and the protocol any. The source will be the IoT network and the destination will be any. And we'll click save and then apply. Now we have to do the same thing for the staff network. So we'll add a new rule. The action will be passed. The interface will be staff, direction in, IPv4, and then protocol any. And the source will be our staff net. And our destination will be any, and we'll press save and then apply. Okay, so the basic firewall rules have been enabled just to give us internet access, but we haven't blocked anything. So on the guest network, we could still reach the LAN network, which has all our admin devices on, our protectly, our switch, and our access point, which we don't want. So you can see if I go ipconfig, I'm currently on the guest network at 192.168.20.10, and I could ping protectly firewall LAN interface. If we go ping 192.168.1.1, it's going to respond. We could also ping the switch in the access point. So if we ping 192.168.1.102, it's going to respond. Same with 101. So what we need to do, we need to create an alias for the RFC 1918, which is all the private IP addresses which are non-routable on the internet. So I'm going to go back to my protectly, and then we're going to go to firewall and then aliases. Here it has some aliases already, but we're going to create our own. So we're going to hit this plus button. The alias will be enabled, and the name I'll give it is RFC 1918. The type is going to be networks, and here is where we're going to specify our networks. We're going to specify all the private RFC 1918 networks. So first we'll start off with 192.168.0.0/16, and then we'll just put in a comma to go to another subnet. The next private address will be 172.16.0.0/12, and the last one will be 10.0.0.0/8. And then we'll press save. And now we can see the new RFC 1918 alias has been saved. It has a network type, and this is what it contains. So we need to go back to each one of those subnet firewall rules. So we'll go firewall, and then we'll go rules, and we're going to select guest. Now we need to add a rule, and the action will be to block. The interface will be guest, the direction in, IPv4, and the protocols will be any. The source will be that new alias that we created, RFC 1918, and the destination will be RFC 1918 as well, and then we'll press save and then apply changes. Now that we've created that block rule, we're still able to hit the 192.168.1.1, and I could show you guys that right now. And that's because we need to make this RFC 1918 rule on top of the pass rule. So how we do that in OPNsense, we're going to click both of these boxes, and then we're going to hit this arrow to move this rule on top of the guest network rule. And then we're going to apply changes. And here you can see the RFC 1918 is now on top of the pass rule. And if we try to ping 192.168.1.1, it won't allow us. We could also try to ping the switch in the access point. So ping 192.168.1.102, and it's not allowing us. We still have internet access though, so if we ping google.ca, it will go through. Now I have to move my computer back to the LAN network so that we could put those block rules on the other networks. Now we're back on the LAN network. We need to create the rules for IoT and staff. So I'll click on IoT, and then we'll select add. The action is going to be to block. The interface is IoT, the direction in IPv4, and then protocol any. Our source will be RFC 1918, and our destination will be RFC 1918, and we'll press save and apply changes. Again, we need to move this rule on top of the allow rule, so we'll select both these boxes and then hit the arrow, and then press apply. Lastly, we need to do the staff network, so we're going to add a rule. It's going to be to block, be the staff interface, the direction will be in, the IP version will be IPv4, and the protocol will be any. Source of RFC 1918 and destination of RFC 1918, and we'll press save and apply. And again, we need to move this rule on top of the allow rule, and then press apply. Okay, so now inner VLAN routing is blocked. Our guest can't access any other network besides its own in the internet. Same with the staff in the IoT. But say we want our guests to access a device on our main LAN, maybe a printer or a NAS device. We could do that. We just need to create a accept rule. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to allow the guest to access this access point at 192.168.1.102. I don't suggest allowing your guests to do this. This is just an easy test to see that the allow rules work. So under the guest firewall rules, we're going to press add, and the action is going to be pass. The interface will be guest, the direction in, IP version will be IPv4, and protocol will be any. The source is going to be our guest network, and then our destination is going to be a single host or a network. So we'll scroll up to single host or network. Now we're going to select that IP address of 192.168.1.102, and we could leave it at a /32 because we only want it to be for that IP address. And we'll scroll down, press save, and then apply changes. So right now, if we moved over to our guest and tried to ping 192.168.1.102, it wouldn't work because this RFC 1918 rule is still above it. So we need to get this rule, the accept rule, above RFC 1918. So we'll select the box of the RFC 1918 and then the new rule that we created and then hit the arrow. And then we'll press apply. So you can see here that now this new guest rule is above RFC 1918. Let's switch over to our guest and we'll see if we could hit it. Now you can see I'm on the guest network at 192.168.20.10. Let's try to ping that access point. So we'll type in ping 192.168.1.102, and you can see that the access point is replying. If we try to ping the switch at 192.168.1.101, we will get no replies. So ping 192.168.1.101, and you can see that we're getting no replies. So that's it for this small business setup using OPNsense. We will go over other things in OPNsense, such as creating remote user VPNs and site-to-site VPNs. If you guys like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. If you're new here, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. All right, thanks.